Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cars with Big Boy Trev. I am Big Boy Trev.
My name is Birigi.
And today we have something amazing courtesy of Mahindra, the brand new Mahindra Scorpio that's built right here in Kenya. But first things first,
Let's check out the highlights of today's show.
This week on Cars with Big Boy Trev, we head out to AVA Vehicle Assembly Plant in Mombasa and get up close and personal with the intricate assembly process of the Mahindra Scorpio Pickup from start to finish. And finally, we get to review the Mahindra Scorpio Double Cab Pickup to analyze its cabin comfort, carrying capacity, engine performance, fuel efficiency, and of course give you a value for money proposition as to why it is a pickup for you. Catch this and much more on Cars with Big Boy Trev every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. only on KTN Home.
Through partnership between Mahindra and Simba Corporation, we are currently assembling the pickups, Scorpio, two models, that is double cab and single cab, 6-speed gearbox, manual transmission. So currently we're just dealing with two models. Because Mahindra is based on chassis and the box, you first assemble the different components of the chassis, like the suspensions, the wheel, and the wiring system. Then prepare the cabin, where you do the cabin trim, again, seats, dashboards, and other components of the cabin, and then the train. Then later on, you join or you marry the chassis and the cabin and tray together. Then you do the final assembly, fitting, and also diagnosis. Then you take it to the end of the line testing. Before assembly of any vehicle, we have to understand and comply with the source manufacturer's quality requirement. And coupled with the fact that AVA is IATF certified and ISO 9001 certified, which are QMS that guides us in each and every stage, and we are able to achieve the quality that has been set by the source manufacturer. Internally, we've also set some 6 stages of quality that involves each and every person in the line, together with the end-of-the-line quality inspectors who are trained by the source manufacturers. So the purpose is to ensure that the product that we get out of the line meets and even exceeds the customer specifications. I think by now you have already realized that because of the technology advancement, most of the car systems have been changed from mechanical to electronics. So because of that, there is advancement in technology. And to counter that, we have set up in our training system a setup where the trainee is able to interact with the different ECU conversions, different setup and electronics models that gives him prior knowledge before being subjected to the assembly line to do the actual assembly. So in our training facility, we've incorporated all this technology. For instance, how to deal with engine ECUs, how to deal with cabin-related ECUs, and other modified and advanced electronics.
so guys, today on Cars with Big Boy Trev, we are privileged to sample the brand new Mahindra Scorpio that's now built right here in Kenya at the AVA plant. Now, we were lucky to visit India just before the pandemic, and we had a chance to see what Mahindra as a brand is doing. They are actually investing millions of dollars in research and development, and we were able to see quite a number of products that are coming in the pipeline, from the XUV 300, the XUV 100, and of course, one of the best 4x4s that are coming in 2021, the Ultra Force G-Force, which is a 4x4 that will compete with the likes of the Fortuner and of course the Ford Everest. But that's a story for another day. Today, what has brought us here is this particular car. And we're going to start this review by talking about Mahindra's investment in Kenya. Now, Simba Colt has over 50 years of tradition in Kenya. They have been selling different types of brands, including Mitsubishi, and now they have taken up the franchise of this particular brand, Mahindra, and they're now taking it strength to strength. And by supporting the Big Four agenda from the government, they are now actually assembling this Mahindra Scorpio right here in Kenya. And we saw the president launching it at State House at around the time of the pandemic starting around March. And that is a significant investment. Why? because Mahindra now is involving Kenyans into building the economy, supporting manufacturing, because for us to become a middle-income country, we need to have manufacturing. Number 2, creating jobs for our youth. Our youth are learned and they need the jobs so that they're able to stay out of trouble. Job creation is important, skills transfer, because they are trained on how to do vehicle assembly, different systems, and of course, one thing, to grow our economy. So locally built vehicles, very good for the country, very good for the consumer because the taxes are low. But that is just but the beginning of this introduction. Let's talk about the Scorpio today, and it's all about the functionality of this product. Now we start with the styling. Front end, as you can see, it's a total redesign. The Scorpio has been around for quite a while, and of course it has undergone a nip and tuck of some sorts. Now it looks very bold, very different, and of course very catchy. Trapezoidal headlamps that are halogen, and one has actually xenon, and of course this reflector type of fog lights gives this car that Janet, so I keep on talking about. Then this grille, it looks like a Jeep grille. Obviously Mahindra has some heritage in 4x4 technology, and they are trying to put that in the Scorpio. Now the redesigned bumper also looks very modern and chic, with this particular lower lip that improves angle of approach when you're doing 4x4 and off-roading. And of course, our resident tech expert, Mr. Murigi, will tell us much more about the 4x4 capability of this particular Mahindra. You can see this hood scoop. Now, this hood scoop denotes power from a design perspective, because this is the slot where the intercooler breathes. It absorbs air from here into the engine, because this particular engine is a turbocharged M-Hawk engine, original engine courtesy of Mahindra, and of course, now it is Euro 6 compliant with the equivalent BS6 from India that was now mandatory from 1st of March. I can tell you Mahindra are not playing games when it comes to power. 140 horsepower, 320 newton of torque. It's just amazing. So you're going to join me later on as I review this particular car. Now, if you look at the design phase, well, it doesn't look very, aerodynamic, but of course, with the rack being slightly higher up, gives space inside the room, and we're going to see the capacity, the seating capacity, the spaciousness, legroom, headroom for this particular truck. Apart from that, the design queue is fantastic. You can see these bold creases on the bonnet and on the side. Again, just giving that Janet's how we keep on talking about on cars with Big Boy Trev. Let's move to the side and see the side profile of the Mahindra Scorpio. When you move over to the side again, you can see the design aspect of the Scorpio. It's largely unchanged since it started about 10 years ago. But what Mahindra have done is to include subtle lines within the design aspect of this particular car. If you look at this front fender, there's this bulging line that moves away from the bumper onto this front fender. And this, traditional, it's not an inlet, but just a design cue that has a side repeater lamp. This one is signifying the Hawk, M-Hawk, the Hawk bird that is now the trademark of this particular engine. Again, as you can see, these particular tires are off-road tires that are able to go bundu bashing anywhere you want to go in the country. So fantastic. I think they're 16-inch, and then of course they are high profile to give you comfort and of course maximum grip in any given terrain. Moving over to this particular second third of the vehicle, again it's tall. That has an advantage. That means good headroom and space inside the cabin. The windows are large, meaning it's airy and there's plenty of light that gets in. So everybody who's inside the cabin of this particular vehicle is able to see quite clearly outside. And then, obviously, as you can see this A-pillar, there is minimal blind spot, so you can see the car from a 360 perspective, from a driver's perspective. Moving over to this other part, where the load bay is, this is where all the magic happens. Now, this particular car can tow up to 1.2 tons, can carry 1.2 tons and tow 3.5 tons braked. Now, that is a lot of carrying and pulling capacity, because remember, Mahindra has been built on a chassis that is very strong, it's built to last, and of course, they know how to build a vehicle for this particular terrain. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the terrain in India is similar to Kenya. The weather in India is similar to Kenya. So how they build these particular vehicles will meet and exceed the standards of the African market, which is a rough road package. Again, you can see there is a steel side step over here, so you can actually, heavy man can go here without any stress. And obviously, as you can see at the back, you have this 4x4 sticker that denotes that it's a 4x4. Again, you have a long exit point, again helps with the 4x4ness of this particular vehicle. And obviously, as we move to the side and at the back, the design of this particular Mahindra Scorpio again is still traditional, but you have the big Mahindra letters emblazoned on this tailgate. Of course, you do have easy entry and exit of this particular tailgate. It doesn't have gas struts or a torsion beam to lessen the weight of this door, but it's not too heavy. Anybody can literally open the tailgate. Load area as well, you have this plastic lining to protect the underneath of the load bay from rust and of course potential damage due to the weather. Acid rain, be it whatever it is, you're protected with this particular, covered load bay. Now, as you can see here, this is an armor guard sort of bumper. It looks plastic, but it's metal. The reason is that you're able to protect the vehicle from damage in case of an accident. So again, well done to Mahindra for bringing this type of technology to the pickup market. That's just the design phase. Do you reckon the cabin is as good as the exterior? We're going to jump in and see what the cabin of the Mahindra Scorpio is all about. So ladies and gentlemen, you've seen from the walk around the design phase of the Mahindra Scorpio. It's practical enough, it's stylish now, and of course offers plenty of space because of its taller structure. But matters different inside. Let's step inside and see the cabin of this particular kind. The first thing that you notice is how far away the dashboard is, and this is called the forward cab design. Like I've mentioned earlier in cars with Big Boy Trev, this design allows this particular cabin to be roomy and spacious. Legroom is fantastic up front, and even headroom, because it's a taller vehicle, then this particular car is quite spacious. And the way they have packaged this dashboard is amazing. It's got a little bit of creases and a views of soft touch plastic, and of course dark colors, just to give this car that je ne sais quoi that we keep on talking about of this particular vehicle. Now let's start with the center console, and you can see Mahindra have done subtle touches just to give this car that premium look and feel. The vents actually have chrome on the outer edges and of course even on the dials. Again, in this particular segment, everybody is trying to outdo each other, and Mahindra has not been left behind in creating a vehicle that is one, very, very premium and practical. Again, we move low over here. We do have the infotainment system. This being the S6 model, has a standard audio system that actually can play music via Bluetooth, USB and auxiliary port. And of course, the sound system is not too bad. You have 6 speakers playing quality sound right off the bat, so you can enjoy long drives in the Mahindra Scorpio.
So when it comes to tech with the Mahindra Scorpio double cab pickup, I must of course start with the key, because this is actually a smart key that is programmed at the factory. We actually saw that being done in Mombasa, the AVA facility, and this key can only be used with this car, so it is very good security. This car has an inbuilt alarm system that works off this key with an immobilizer. You cannot start the car without this key. This means of course now you can operate this car on tricky border areas at night, take it to any construction site that you happen to be on, and you shall remain safe. The next technology item I'm going to describe is the start-stop system. This is something that we've seen only in the German cars we've reviewed so far on this show, so it's actually very interesting. When you come to a full stop at a traffic light, or when you happen to be driving on the road, the car will switch off the engine instead of idling, so that it can save on your fuel. You can switch that on or off with a button on the left side of the steering wheel over here. And then, speaking of the steering wheel, of course, it's a fantastic steering wheel, very easy to use, but the only buttons we have over here are the buttons for cruise control, because yes, this Mahindra Scorpio pickup does have cruise control. So what you can do is allows you to set a speed, and then all you do is just hold your hands on the steering wheel, eyes on the road, and focus only on steering. So loads of technology in this vehicle. Coming down to the back of the Mahindra Scorpio pickup, the double cab version of course, you can see there's actually quite a lot of space at the back here in the bench. This is very unusual for double cabs because they usually sacrifice space for the passengers at the back. But as you can see, this seat is set to Trevor's driving position, and there's loads of space for both my knees and for my feet under the driver's seat over here. Another thing to notice is the fact that this has a very high roofline allows them to place the seat, the bench, very high, so you actually sit in a very natural position. The other thing is that I'm sitting a little higher than the people in the front seat, which gives me actual visibility out of the front, which means on a long trip you should not actually get bored at all. The other thing to note, the sill over here is actually very low, so it's very easy for you to put your hand over here, and there's a very large space for the window, letting in a lot of air. One of the other things that I like that's specific to the Mahindra Scorpio is the fact that they put the speakers at the back in the roof, so they actually hear being behind over here. So actually the sound sounds fantastic. Something that is very rare for cars in this price point, we have ISOFIX anchor points for child seats in the back of this double cab. So they're actually fitted over here. And we also have a small armrest so that you can actually relax your hand over here when you're on a long trip. Something else that I have to note, which honestly is very, very impressive at this price point, is there is second row air conditioning. So you actually have vents at the back here for the people at the back. So that spectacular air conditioning in the front can also be challenged to the back over here. We also have a 12-volt socket for charging any devices that you need to charge at the back here, in addition to the 12-volt in the front and the USB. So loads of stuff that allows you to charge your devices when you're on the move. But we can't forget that this is, at the end of the day, a pickup. So let's check out the back to see just how much you can carry in the Mahindra Scorpio. Coming round to the business end of the Mahindra Scorpio double cab, and I have to mention that this, of course, has a load box with a 1-ton capacity at the back over here. It's very easy to use because it's rather deep, because like we mentioned, the car is a little high, and it's easy to use, very wide, and it has been covered, of course, now in this material to make it longer, harder wearing, of course. Now this door is actually very easy to open. Like Trevor had mentioned, it's secured over here by some few metal ropes, easy to open and close, and of course protected by this solid steel bumper so that you can know that you can do your stuff when you're on the move. But it's time for us to take this on the road and feel the power of that 2.2 liter turbo M-Hawk engine.
So guys, you've seen from the walk around, the design language of this Mahindra Scorpio is amazing. We step inside, we saw what kind of quality it has: space, convenience, comfort, and now it's time to see if this particular car is capable both on and off-road. So we start this particular road test by checking out the engine. So basically, this particular engine, it's called the M-Hawk. It is a traditional engine done by Mahindra, and it's called the M-Hawk because that is how their nomenclature is. It's a 2.2 liter 4-cylinder 16-valve turbo diesel that produces 140 horsepower and 320 newton meters of torque, which is sent to the four wheels courtesy of either a 5-speed manual or a 5-speed automatic. If you decide to just drop a gear down, it pulls and pulls because the turbo kicks in at a very low RPM, actually 1750 RPM to be precise, and the torque band pulls all the way to 4000 RPM, making it a high revving engine that's full of torque, and it's turbocharged and intercooled, so performance doesn't wear out as you go along. Now, I love the fact that this particular chassis, it's a box standard chassis that you also find on the pickup and on the Mahindra Scorpio, the station wagon, and it's a sturdy chassis because it is able to handle all this power and all this torque. Of course, up front you do have double wishbones. At the back you do have leaf springs that actually helps in carrying the weight of the vehicle, and of course all your luggage, and of course keep the car planted both on and off-road. And what I like about Mahindra is they've actually used long stroke tapered leaf springs that allows this car to have a very comfortable ride both on and off-road. It doesn't feel like it is all over the place. It's not bouncy, but the way they've designed it, it's designed to handle the African terrain. Safety is a critical component in any pickup. And what this particular pickup has been done is that Mahindra have enhanced the safety features of this particular car to ensure that you and your passengers remain safe at any given time. You have a mixture of active and passive safety features that prevent you from having an accident. So from the active front, you do have anti-lock braking system with brake assist, which basically prevents you from locking the wheels during an emergency, and you're able to swerve to avoid an object. And brake assist gives enough brake force so that you're able to stop, effectively reducing your braking distance. But in case all brakes loose, then you can rely on the dual airbags that come as standard in this particular vehicle, crumple zones, and of course this safety belt. You do have seat anchors, child seat anchors on the rear seat, so that you're able to tie down your baby seat so that they can remain safe while in this particular vehicle.
So it's time for us to take the Mahindra Scorpio off the road. Now, like we had mentioned, we have a 2.2 turbo diesel M-Hawk engine, and it's of course mated now to our part-time four-wheel drive system. So before we do some off-roading over here, I'm going to switch the system into 4 high, because I think at the moment that's all I require. This specific car has been fitted out with mud terrain tires, very aggressive tread pattern, so I should be able to get this thing through any terrain that I feel like. 210 millimeters of ground clearance is more than enough to do the kind of off-roading we're about to do right now, but let me just take you through its paces so that we can see what it's capable of doing. Very good approach angle, very good departure and breakover angles, and like we mentioned, this engine is actually powerful enough to give you all the grunt that you require when you're going off the road. So one thing I like about this brand new engine is the fact that it is incredibly smooth. So power delivery, of course, is very predictable, which is something that you need when you're off the road. And as you can see, we are just walking through this course right now. What we are doing today is just basically mimicking what somebody would do if they were going to the Shamba to check out the site, to check out their people. And of course, this is going to handle this very, very well. No hill descent control. That is obviously up to you. Put this thing in first gear, low range, and it should also be able to take you into and out of anywhere that you need to go. So I have to say, this is actually a very good off-road vehicle.
So guys, you've seen what the Mahindra Scorpio is all about. It's all about functionality. It's all about even style, capability, toughness, and of course fuel efficiency. And not forgetting the amount of power in this thing. The M-Hawk 140 horsepower, 320 Newton meters of torque is just but amazing. But Mr. Mirigi, what are your highlights of this Mahindra Scorpio? Has it changed your perception of what a proper double cab should be?
Definitely, of course, because this is actually very refined. I'm very surprised about this engine specifically. It's very quiet, it gives you power where you need it to be, and the cabin is actually really nice for this price point. I have to say they've done a really good job of that. Great capacity, of course, at the back. Fantastic four-wheel drive system. This actually is a real contender in this double cab space.
Now, speaking of that, how much does it cost on the road?
Well, prices for the Mahindra Scorpio double cab pickup, and this is a four-wheel drive, start at 2.8 million shillings. This, of course, comes now with Xylon Motors 5-year, 100,000 kilometer warranty, whichever comes first.
What do you mean, Mirigi? 5-year, 100,000?
5-year, 100,000
Mahindra?
kilometer warranty.
Wow,
yes.
It means they actually have the capacity to take care of this Mahindra, and they believe in the engineering, because remember back in India, we went and we were privileged to see the Research and Development Center of Mahindra, and I can tell you, this is the brand to watch in the next 5 years. A lot of great stuff coming from Mahindra, and we are quite excited to bring you the Mahindra Scorpio. So thank you so much for joining us on Cars with Big Boy Trev. Kama kawaida, if you have any questions, comments or queries, do not hesitate to write to us as seen on the social media handles below. We'll get back to you next week with the feedback. But before we sign out, how do we catch Cars with Big Boy Trev after the show?
Well, after it airs right now, we are going to be premiering this episode on YouTube. Look for Cars with Big Boy Trev, and you can watch this specific episode as it streams live with anybody if you happen to miss it on TV. But we are also available on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Search for CBBT_TV, and you can find us there. Our YouTube channel has all our episodes running all the way back from season 1. 80 cars in total available for your viewing pleasure.
We're signing out. This is Big Boy Trev.
This is Mirigi. Drive safe
and be safe.